You know, there are some films that just stick with you. The ones that spark arguments years, even decades after they come out. And Unfaithful is absolutely one of those films. The great Roger Ebert put it perfectly. He said the movie is about two reasonably sensible adults who find themselves in a nearly insoluble dilemma. And man, 20 years later, that dilemma still feels as raw and debatable as ever. And a huge reason for all that debate? Well, it's Diane Lane's incredible powerhouse performance. I mean, she got an Oscar nomination for it, and for very good reason. Her portrayal of this woman spiraling into an affair was just so complex and so real, it really got under people's skin. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? Why? Why would a woman who seems to have it all, a loving husband, a great kid, a beautiful home, throw it all away? Here's the thing. The movie refuses to give you an easy answer, and that's exactly why we're still wrestling with it today. So let's set the scene. We meet Connie and Edward Sumner, and on the surface, they are living the suburban dream. They have the house, the kid, the dog, the whole thing. It looks, for all intents and purposes, perfect. Then, one crazy windy day in Soho, everything shifts. Connie literally collides with this guy, Paul Martel, a charming, younger French book dealer. It's this sudden jolt of chaotic, seductive energy into her very predictable life. It starts out like a classic rom-com meet-cute, but it leads to a place that is much, much darker. What's so brilliant about the film is that this doesn't just happen. It's a slow burn, a series of quiet, conflicted choices she makes. It all culminates in that now famous train scene. If you've seen the movie, you know the one. After her first encounter with Paul, she's on the train home, and you just watch this entire storm of emotions, glee, shame, excitement, terror, wash over her face in one continuous shot. It's masterful. Okay, so to really get why Unfaithful felt so different and so shocking, we kind of have to look at the old Hollywood playbook for cheating. Believe it or not, there were unwritten rules, and those rules always demanded a certain kind of consequence. For decades, the formula in movies was pretty simple. An affair happens, it disrupts the natural order of things, and that order can only be restored when somebody pays the price. Usually, that meant the person who was seen as the intruder had to be punished, often by dying. It's a very neat, tidy moral equation. Just think about a movie like Fatal Attraction. The blame there is placed squarely on an external threat, right? It's the crazy other woman, this psychotic outsider who invades the happy home. Yeah, the husband made a mistake, but she was positioned as the monster. But Unfaithful completely flips that script. It locates the problem inside the four walls of the marriage. The source of all this chaos isn't some stranger, it's the wife, the mother, the person who's supposed to be the very bedrock of the family. This was a massive shift, and it reflected what some sociologists were starting to call the new infidelity. So what is going on here? What drives these seemingly normal characters to such terrifying extremes? To get a better handle on their motivations, we can actually look at it through the lens of psychology. All right, stay with me here. Freudian theory gives us this idea called the Oedipal complex. Now, it's not really about what you think it is. It's better to think of it as a kind of blueprint for all the messy, conflicting drives we have inside us. That powerful cocktail of love, rivalry, jealousy, and, of course, the intense desire for what's forbidden. And within that, you've got these two huge, primal forces at war. On one side, you have Eros, that's the drive for life, for creation, for love and sex. On the other, you have Thanatos, that's the drive toward aggression, destruction, and death. And really, most great drama is just about these two forces duking it out. And this is exactly what happens to Edward. When he discovers the affair, these two forces just completely overpower him. His deep love for his wife and his blinding rage toward his rival just collide, and it leads to that shocking, horrifying act of violence with the snow globe, which tragically was a gift from Connie, a symbol of their once happy life. Now, what makes the film's moral gray area even more fascinating is that Unfaithful wasn't an original story. Nope, it's actually a remake of a classic 1969 French film called Femme, infidèle. And if you put them side by side, a lot of the plot points are almost identical. The way he finds out, the confrontation, the murder itself. But the endings? Oh, the endings could not be more different. And that difference reveals a massive moral shift between the two cultures. You see, the French original wraps things up neatly. The husband is arrested, the crime is punished, order is restored. But the American remake, it completely denies us that clarity. It just leaves Connie and Edward in their car, literally at a crossroads, stuck between escaping and confessing. They are trapped in a limbo that they built themselves. And that ambiguity, that refusal to give us a clean ending, is precisely why the film is still so divisive. It doesn't give you a simple answer, so it forces you to sit there and grapple with what should happen next. What's really interesting is that the director, Adrian Lyne, said he actually had to fight the studio to keep the marriage a good one. He insisted that infidelity doesn't always need some big traumatic motive. Sometimes it just happens. You can be happy, and then one day you meet someone and everything changes. And that is a deeply unsettling idea. And that unsettling idea makes a lot of viewers furious. You see comments like this all the time. People feel that Connie, who started the whole thing, never really gets held accountable. Her husband becomes the murderer, and she kind of gets away with it. For that part of the audience, the film just feels fundamentally unjust. But then you have the other camp, people who praise this exact complexity. They argue that the film's refusal to give us easy answers is what makes it feel so authentic. Real life is messy, people are flawed, and there isn't always a clear hero and a clear villain. There's just a whole lot of gray. And maybe for some, the crucial point isn't about good versus evil at all. Maybe it's just a tragedy about the catastrophic failure of communication inside a relationship that, by all accounts, was probably worth saving. Which leaves us with a question that goes way beyond this one movie. What do we actually want from our stories? Do we want the comfort of clear justice where everything is tied up in a neat little bow? Or do we want the challenging, uncomfortable mirror that shows us a truth that might be a little too close to real life?